Hello, everyone, and welcome. I was waiting for you to unmic me, Jake, so don't shake your head because you're the one that says, I'm the button clicker.
Nuh-uh. Jacob,
Yeah.
Jacob, do you unmute yourself or do I?
Yes, I unmute myself. Yeah.
Hello, welcome. I literally was like, Jake always says he's the one that wants to click the button, so I'll just sit here and wait. But clearly, it wasn't going to happen. Hello.
Well, I have proof right there.
Jesus. Well, hello.
That was great.
Yes. Welcome to this edition of Apocaflix Now. I am your host today, although might have to just throw it back to Jacob. And we are here to discuss some stuff. Yes, Chuck. Gio's not here for the one day that we literally
he's literally gone. He's gone.
Are going to be spending the whole episode talking about something DC, and that is the Suicide Squad. Before we get going, how is everyone doing today? Gio is not here, so I'm going to go to this guy. Who are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I had a long day at work. I'm actually physically back in an office again for now. So
that's right.
It's kind of weird. The days go by so slow.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm ready to go. I'm super excited about today's episode. All I'll say is, since the last time I talked to you guys, I've changed my mind significantly on the movie we're going to talk about today. And
Interesting.
I'll leave it at that.
Interesting. Mr. Jake the Wall Berlin.
That's not my nickname yet, so don't give it to me.
Yeah, excuse me.
I'm good. It's it's been a long couple days. This work week has been a little bit more hectic for some specific reasons than normal, but I'm excited for this episode. I think it's a great idea for this specific movie to leave basically 98% of the show for this movie. And I'm also excited to hear Mr. Bartley talk about a movie that talk about my movie that won the challenge this week too. So it's going to be a fun show. I'm excited.
Finally, Brian's didn't win.
I know, right?
Mine won last week.
I think you won 2 weeks in a row, and
you got The Shining. That yours was.
I forget all the ones before that. So
I know it's so weird to think that I challenged Keith to The Shining. Which means I've seen it, and Keith hasn't.
And that video's up right now if you want to go check it out.
I actually watched it because I now watch things that Jacob says. Brian's probably not going to watch this, so we can say whatever we want. And
did I say that?
You've said it twice, and both times I watched it. So
nice. You sensed it. You sensed that I said that.
So we are going to move things along, and Jake, you're sending stuff going. Okay. But we're gonna move things along. We are going to do our next stage of the movie watching challenge. What?
Whoa! That was a weird transit. Our next stage of the movie watching challenge, or our next stage of Apocaflix Now.
There, go, Jacob.
He meant our next stage, the movie watching challenge. That's what he meant.
Screw the ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. I'm over it. But yeah, so Jacob was challenged by this schmuck down here to watch Pleasantville. Go for it.
Pleasantville. This is a movie that I was aware of, but I'd never watched. And I think it was around the time WandaVision was coming out. Jake, a couple other people were comparing similar aspects to Pleasantville. And first off, I'll say I totally understand the comparisons to WandaVision. They definitely.
Brian, have you seen Pleasantville?
I've seen bits and pieces. So
I just want to make sure.
I've seen a lot of it. I've seen 3/4 of it, but it's always been caught it in different parts of it being on TV. So yeah.
Well, there's a few movies I have like that, but definitely get the comparisons to WandaVision. But this movie, man, it's so it's very unique. First of all, I'll say I really, really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. Tobey Maguire, like during this time, he was the perfect guy to cast as Spider-Man because you needed the high school kind of dorky, nerdy guy, and he's literally like playing Peter Parker in this movie, like before he became Peter Parker. So very interesting, and so he nailed that. And then what do you know? I didn't even know this. I saw the poster, obviously. Didn't even know that Reese Witherspoon is his twin sister in the movie, which is insane. But so I like once they get into the television world or whatever's going on, everything that happens in there is super creepy, super weird, but also like very engaging. Like I couldn't stop watching it once I got to that part because I didn't know where it was going when it first started. I was like, what's going to happen here? Like, keep in mind, I've never seen a trailer or anything. It's like, what's going to happen here? Like, how are they going to end up involved in this TV world, whatever's going on? And it kind of happens very quickly and you're just there.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of stuff happens. And I kind of picked this up. I was watching it. They really used this movie, like the sitcom world people and the regular people. And then once those sitcom world people start becoming more like real people, they kind of use this to like represent like the civil rights movement and all that stuff. And that was actually really well done. Really, really well done. And Toby's Toby in this movie. He does his thing. He's pretty good. Reese Witherspoon is amazing in this movie, as she is in everything. Super young Reese Witherspoon. And Star Drew is saying the color's beautiful. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, once the color starts showing up in the sitcom world, spoiler, I guess, it does kind of like, even though we've seen those colors in our everyday, once you're watching the movie for 30, 45 minutes and you start to see color, it is kind of beautiful. Like, it kind of stands out a lot.
And I think it stands out because it's obviously a black and white movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And
it pops a little more.
Jake, Paul Walker.
Yeah, man.
Freaking Paul Walker,
My boy.
Dude, super young Paul Walker. Can you imagine, like, during this time, they were probably like, he's going to be a big movie star. He got the looks. He's got the charm. He had everything. Yeah, he played a very important role in this movie.
So let me ask you, Jacob, what did you think of the plot point of how the characters realized their world is so-and-so? Like the process of how they went from black and white to color.
Yeah. So, there's multiple reasons why, but the main reason why their sitcom world, and basically for those of you who haven't seen it, like, I'm not going to really spoil anything, but the sitcom world characters, they only know everything that exists that happens in their world. So let's say they never even mentioned or ever seen a zebra before. They would have no idea what a zebra is, for example. And one of the things that they've never heard of or never done before is sex or sexual acts. And that's what kind of starts churning, like, literally sex is used to move on to the next, like, to move the story along. Mm-hmm. And it's not done like vulgarly. I wouldn't say so. It's PG-13, so it's not done vulgarly. It's not like bad taste. They handle it pretty well on that point. And so, yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I will say I kept expecting like the Truman Show, right? There's like a resolution, like you find out what was going on, how it was going on, and you get kind of a resolution. This movie like doesn't even, like, it just like they get out of there and it ends. And it's kind of weird. I don't know. Do you like the ending, Jake?
I like the movie as a whole. I do. I think it's very fun. It's definitely that 90s movie, right? As far as storytelling
for
goes.
Sure. Yeah.
And, it plays to its strengths and it does have weaknesses and whatnot, but it's very much a funny look at all of the things that it's telling. And obviously the plot point of how these characters realize their world is a little different than what they've made to believe, and these things that are happening.
Yeah.
And I look at it as like a cheeky film, and so I go in with just expectations of like, I'm just gonna go in and have fun with it. And I remember watching it for the first time a number of years ago. I think I watched it on TV or maybe like a movie channel or something. I was like, I had never heard of it. I saw Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon on the cover. I was like, oh, this seems interesting. Sure. And then I was like, wow, like, I mean, it's different, but I liked it. It's very, very interesting and very fun. So,
yeah. And I think if I had seen this before, I think I probably would have been the one talking about it all the time. Cause I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like a Twilight Zone episode, and I'm really into that kind of stuff. So overall, like, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, when everything that happens in the sitcom TV world is amazing. I wish they would have expanded a little bit more. Like, were they dreaming this? Were like it was somebody messing with them? Was there like magic involved? Like, you don't really get any answers to that, which is okay. But I do think it does have deep themes, and it has a deep message, like, basically. So it's overall very solid. I think most people like of this era would appreciate it if they watched it. Don't expect a masterpiece, but it's definitely worth watching.
For sure. Cool. I'm
happy. So what I got out of that is that sex saved the universe or the world.
Kind of their world.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
But that's not like. Yes, like on face value, that's the way that you put it, but there's ultimately a deeper meaning.
It starts the domino effect of it.
Yeah, yeah. But yes, Brian, you are correct.
Nice. Nice. Oh yeah, I'm hosting the show. All right, I was thinking I shouldn't do anymore since Jacob has now watched the movie. I was challenged by Jacob to watch a movie. So everyone's favorite person to get challenged has been challenged because they literally can pick pretty much any movie. So who's doing the honors of my job? All right, Mr. Button.
Brian, would you like a poll or would you like to pick a number?
Poll.
Easy enough. All right, everybody. The poll will be up tomorrow morning for Brian's movies. And so there are only 3 options this week, so a little bit easier. First up is an ultimate classic from our childhood, and you'll see some familiar faces in there, and that is E.T., the Extraterrestrial. Brian, that is correct. He has never seen E.T. Next up is a Christopher Nolan classic, and that is The Prestige with Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, and Scarlett Johansson. Plus Michael Caine, as always, and a number of other faces. David Bowie in there. And finally, a great film with a lot of twists and turns and very fun is The Usual Suspects. The Usual Suspects is pick number 3 as well. So there you have it. There's Brian's 3 picks for the week: E.T., The Prestige, and The Usual Suspects. Again, poll will be up tomorrow morning on our YouTube page. Go ahead and vote, and you guys get to decide which film Brian will be watching this week. Wow. You have until Friday to vote. So make your vote count, guys.
Interesting. Those were nowhere near my radar of what I was expecting.
Those are 3 damn good movies, I will say. And obviously I chose one of them, right? And I'll say, I think why you weren't expecting them, I at least went in trying to choose something that I haven't challenged you to before, or that I haven't chose for a while.
Jake.
So I think we've all been trying to do that more lately. And yeah, we'll see what wins.
All I know is Elliot. Which ironically, I think like 2 out of those 3 are on my scratch off movie poster. So
I would say all 3 of them should be, but I guarantee you Suspects and E.T. is.
I know Suspects is. Yeah. I actually, now the more I think about it, I don't think E.T. is on it.
It would be very hard for me to believe that E.T. is not on that poster.
Yeah,
but it could be a specific kind of poster.
If Prestige is.
Yeah.
Just because it's a newer movie.
Yeah, it's the newest out of the bunch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have been waiting for, our spoiler discussion. Yes, blaze the alarm. Spoiler.
We need like the siren.
I've been asking for a spoiler button.
Jake can't do everything. All right.
Yeah.
One step
There
at a
doesn't need to
time.
be a spoiler button. We're talking about a movie they know we're gonna spoil it. Like, sorry.
No, but it's
Sorry.
What
Very
is that?
true.
What is that thing that Sean has where you push the button and it's just like "Meh," or whatever?
The
What are those
Stream
things?
Deck.
Stream Deck. We need one of those. But yeah, we are going to dive into the Suicide Squad spoiler discussion, the newest DC EU World of DC, whatever we're calling it nowadays, movie directed by James Gunn. Each of us, actually, well, we all saw it together. So our thoughts will be given. Spoiler starting now. Who would like to go first? Anyone?
I think the man who probably likes it the most should go first, and I think from the get that has been Jake, because I don't want to steal your thunder, man. You said some pretty crazy things that shocked me, so
I did.
I want to hear him again.
Interesting.
Yes, Rachel. We specifically went. Gio's not coming. DC Day.
Yes. To be fair, he's out of town. He didn't decide just not to be on today's episode.
That's his fault.
We'll get his thoughts.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So, look, this movie's been it's been a long time coming, right? It was delayed, and then the pandemic hit, and we've known about it for a very, very long time. Obviously, there is a certain expectation that comes around the film when you compare a comic book movie with, or combine a comic book movie with James Gunn. We've seen him do it twice, but also with films like, oh my God, why am I forgetting the name all of a sudden? Jacob, the horror film,
Super?
Brian, the horror movie,
no.
Brightburn. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brightburn. I was going to mention Super, but I was thinking about Brightburn. Super.
Brightburn's good. I like Brightburn.
He does a lot of stuff in that kind of world, whether it be from an actual property or an original one. And so, like we mentioned, Super and both Brightburn. You have this certain expectation that comes around the property when you see a name like that attached, whether it be him or even Zack Snyder or the Russo brothers or someone like that. It's going to be like, okay, well, the property just kind of jumped up the ranks a little bit. And then you compare it to what's happening with the previous Suicide Squad. You're like, okay, well, what's going to happen as far as the characters that we previously knew, knowing that there were going to be a couple in there? Is it going to be a pseudo sequel, or is it going to be kind of like a soft reboot in a way and ignoring its predecessor? And I will say point blank that I loved every move that James Gunn did as far as handling the property from the previous film. I think the small nods, knowing that movie was there, was just enough to make us realize, okay, well, they acknowledged it. Let's move on. Enough to be like, yes, that movie was very, very bad. We're taking the best parts of it and combining it with our movie, which means Harley Quinn, Boomerang, and obviously Amanda Waller were the main three that were in there. Unfortunately, spoilers, blah, 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 blah. For us, Boomerang didn't make it out past the first 5-10 minutes of the movie. And look, as much as I didn't like not seeing Jai Courtney embrace that character from a James Gunn perspective, we got just enough of it in this movie to be like, okay, I'm happy with all. Oh, and Rick Flag. Sorry, Rain Man. Yes, you're right. Rick Flag. My bad. You are correct. Rick Flag. And so I really thought that James Gunn did everything correctly as far as adapting the previous movie, adapting the source material. And I know you guys know this because we talked about it after the screening. I come from a Suicide Squad history. I love these characters. I love this kind of idea that is put together with these characters. I've read a number of comic books in the past with these characters. And so it hits me a little different than it does a lot. And I think James Gunn masterfully pulled off what this team is supposed to be and told a very close adaptation of what a comic book looks like on screen with no other hands in the kitchen per se. Yes, I do have some things I don't like about it. I will say that there's definitely things I don't like about it. But I will say this, and these two gentlemen heard me say this after the screening, as well as Andy and Sean, who are in the chat. This is not only the best DCEU movie out of all of them. That includes Zack Snyder's Justice League, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and mind you, Aquaman is my first. Aquaman was my first. It was my first. Man of Steel was my second. But I stand by saying that this is better than both Guardians of the Galaxy movies. This is James Gunn's best DC/Marvel adaptation he has done yet. Period. Point blank.
Wow. See, that is what shocks me, to be honest. But like, I respect that opinion, and I forgot that you were big on Suicide Squad, because I remember you talking about that before the original Suicide Squad came out. How you were a big Suicide Squad guy, about the comics and stuff. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But wow, I'm just look. I hold Man of Steel in just like one of the all-time great comic movies, but I wouldn't argue with you against all the other DCEU movies, to be honest. But that's crazy. So I'll say so Brian and I were kind of talking off to the side after we got out of the movie, and Brian and I were like, it was good, but we weren't like blown away. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I wasn't sitting next to you guys. Maybe it's because I just was like in a different state of mind that day. But I was like, oh, that was pretty solid. Like I didn't love it, and I don't think it's like as good as, you know, the praise that it's getting, but it's pretty good. Like solid, not bad. So like I took a couple days to think about it. I watched it. Like I watched it on Sunday, and when I started watching it on Sunday, I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? This movie is freaking amazing. Because I think I expected it to be more serious than it was, right? And when it wasn't as serious as maybe I initially wanted it to be, I think I was like, oh, it's too crazy. It's too wild. But then I was like, wait a minute. We're talking about the guy who directed Slither. We're talking about the guy who directed Super. And then even Guardians is like kind of like the loopiest of the Marvel properties. So, and just like, look, what is his name? Dubois, Bloodsport.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I said this the night I saw it. Bloodsport to me is one of like the top 5 best DCEU characters, period.
His story and his growth was told very well.
Amazing. And
very well.
Look, most of us love Idris Elba. He has so much like, and I don't use this word a lot, but he has so much swag. Like he really does. And he just carries himself so well. And I see this more and more often. I love when directors or writers, whatever the case is, let the actors just use their regular accent. Like, because unless there's a specific reason, like unless they're playing a character who's from a certain country, or they're just a straight American character, unless there's a reason for it, why not let them just use their real accent? And even like Dubois, Idris Elba gets to use his accent, but it's not like we got to get a British daughter too. You know, it makes sense. It's like he had an American girlfriend, they had a baby together, boom. So like I just love that, because I think he just gets to be like express emotion more and stuff when he's using his regular voice. So his character is probably reason 1A why I just think this movie's awesome. And I never get tired of him putting his gun together.
Or any of his things that he has. I mean,
scenes.
Like the fact that it all came off the suit and like everything was connected.
Yeah, and when he's when he's searching for like when he runs out of stuff and he's like, oh, like I don't have anything.
It's very cool, and again, going to like that creative process of how nerdy James Gunn can get, right? Like the evolution he can look at a character and be like, okay, this is the character, but how can I adapt that on screen to make it look really cool and advance him from what we see on the comic books, and that's how you do it. Like that's badass.
Yeah.
And then also the way his helmet looked, so cool.
Yeah.
So
and
cool.
I love when the water comes and he puts it on, but then like a few minutes later when he slams against the bricks and it breaks.
It just shatters.
Because then he's not safe from the little starfish. Oh my God, that would be my worst nightmare. One of those starfish things going on my face. But and I can't, not mention Harley Quinn. So Keith and Gio told me that Harley Quinn was her best portrayal in this movie.
I told you that.
Really? Yeah, you mentioned that too. But I was like, really? Like, and then I wasn't sure after my first viewing, but I mean, even though the movies aren't great, she's really good in Suicide Squad and she's really good in Birds of Prey. But I just think as far as an action scene goes, this is her best action scene ever on screen as in live action. So, and that scene where she escapes, and I love that she got herself out of there before they even got a chance to save her. And that was a great scene when she's like, what are you guys doing? Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but so the scene where she escapes the chain that she's hanging down, it was revealed either today or yesterday that Margot Robbie actually did that on her own.
Really?
She took the key and unlocked, and James Gunn said that she did it on the first take, and he was sitting there like, oh my God, what do we have here? And so Margot Robbie just full on did that in the take. That wasn't like off camera, foot and stuff. Like that was full on. Yes, we did that.
Wow. Because she's kind of scary too. She's like a murderer too.
I will say that I think that
she's like a murderer.
No, she is a
murderer. She is a murderer. Do you see the way she used that spear? Yeah. I think that this is her best performance. Period. I think that for her, and we'll get to him, but Rick Flag, it's both of their best performances as the character, because they were allowed to be the character. They weren't allowed to be a character that was on a script. They were allowed to be a character. And they were allowed to pull things from the comic book and play around. And the director was like, I like that. Like, let's play with it and maybe do a couple takes this way, a couple takes that way, and whatever worked best. And also, when you put great characters around them, then they can shine. The first movie, there were a lot of bad characters. There were a lot of bad characters in the first Suicide Squad. And Rick Flag was one of them. I despised Rick Flag in that movie because that was not Rick Flag to me. It was not Rick Flag to me. This is Rick Flag. This is the Rick Flag I know. This is the Rick Flag I love. And it's the Rick Flag I think Joel Kinnaman deserved to play on screen. And look, Harley was one of the standouts in the first one. She's obviously the highlight in Birds of Prey. But she was allowed to be something completely different in this movie, and it totally showed. The way she acted and the action scene. We saw her do great action before, but she really evolved in this movie with action when it comes to her character. And so to me it's 100% her best portrayal of the character.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much there with you guys. I just think it's hard because I feel like she definitely had more screen time and more dialogue in the previous two movies. I would say so, but that doesn't mean that what she did here wasn't better. It probably was, to be honest. But I'll just say, I realized, the beginning of the movie, I was thinking wow, how did I not realize how great this movie is? But also the end, when they disobey Amanda Waller's orders and they start heading towards Starro to fight him and all that.
Towards the city. Yeah.
Towards the city and all that. I just, I'm not even joking. It's kind of silly, but I kind of got a little watery-eyed because I was like, these characters, she could just kill them right now, but they don't care. They're trying to go save these people. But also, this is it reminded me of a dirty, gritty Avengers, in a way. They're going in this big city. They're going to fight this monster. And I'm like, Harley Quinn, she doesn't even have any powers or anything. And she's out here just in a dress with a spear, with a javelin, and she's about to go fight. And I'm like, this is amazing. So, yeah, I kind of flipped this. I liked it a lot, but I'm kind of closer to where Jake is, not nearly as high. But it's definitely top 3 DCEU for me. Definitely.
Fair enough. Well, someone has joined us. I think it's only right that we bring them in instead of waiting in the background. Jake.
Are you going to announce who's here?
Oh, I was going to wait till you clicked it. And
Damn, you teased them. They thought it was Gio.
no, not Gio. Keith. Hi, Keith.
Hey. What
How
am I
you
doing?
doing?
It's so slow.
I don't know what.
I'm not showing up yet. There I am. Okay.
It's all good,
What's up,
man.
guys?
It's all good.
What's
We're just in the heat of talking Suicide Squad, just riffing off of things we like and love, and maybe not like, and maybe not love. But right now, we're in the conversation of talking about mainly Harley Quinn, but possibly things that kind of transfer over from the first movie. Brian was just about to go, so Keith butt in afterwards, and we'll just kind of continue the conversation from there.
So for me, I haven't had a chance to watch it again. I do want to watch it again.
There's a reason why, but don't.
What?
Nothing. Move on.
There's a reason I haven't watched it again?
It's a tease for something that's coming, Brian.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's fine. Just move along.
So I just haven't had time to watch it again. I think I shockingly liked it the least out of everyone. I don't know. It did at times push the gore for me because I'm not a gore person, which trust me, I fully expected going into this that people's heads would be blowing off. Yeah, King Shark's gonna be ripping people in half. So like I fully went into this knowing like that's what this movie's gonna be. Like it wasn't a huge surprise to me. Kind of like Army of the Dead. Like I figured people were gonna get torn apart. I don't know. It just I'll tell you what my number one biggest problem was. I felt 75% of the funniest stuff, maybe more, was already shown in the trailers. Like all the stuff that I would have been like dying, busting up, laughing was shown in the trailers. And that is my biggest gripe that I have with it is it's hard to love something like as this like new experience when you feel like you've already seen it. So for me, that was my biggest thing. So I mean, other than that, it was pretty good. I liked the story. Bummed they killed off a few people. It's funny because I read something the other day saying Margot Robbie said she was like reading through the script and kept seeing more and more people die and was like, if this MFer kills me, like, and I don't get to play Harley Quinn anymore, I'm gonna kick his ass.
They never would.
He said he killed her at one point, but then changed his mind.
I heard
Warner Bros. Would not allow that.
Yeah, see, Keith heard it too. Yeah, I honestly, I have a feeling this might be one of those movies for me. The more I watch it, the more I like it. It's not like Jake's level where it's better than Guardians for me or the best DCEU. But it was enjoyable. Like King Shark had me busting even the stuff that I already knew was coming, like just him being like bird or just like yeah, or stuff. And the amount of times they made us think that poor character was gonna die. Like there were so many times where I went, no.
At least 3 times I thought
Yeah.
King Shark was dead.
Yeah, I was like, no. Oh, he's still alive. No, they killed it. Oh, he's still here. Like it kind of
But
became funny how it
He's
was.
basically invincible.
Kinda. So
Well, he was getting shot with bullets and it didn't even affect him. Like,
Well, Waller did say that he's rumored to be descendant of a shark god or something.
Yeah,
Shark God. Yeah.
how do you say it? The Nanawe?
The Mawe.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nanawe.
Whatever it is.
Mawe.
But he's
I
like
thought
the
he was
Hulk,
done.
though.
Yeah,
Basically, yeah.
I thought he was done from the little bloopy monster jellyfish things. That's when I really thought, like, damn, like he's
Well,
done.
they made it look like they just ate him all up.
Yeah, it was like
right
super
away.
bloody
But his
red.
his skin must be very hard to penetrate.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I truly think that this might be one that the more I watch it, the more I'm gonna end up liking it. So, kind of like what you did. You watched it again, and
Yeah, it was just that second time I was like, oh my goodness, like
I
yeah.
have a question for the field because and it's off of what Brian's talking about. Do you think you're talking about the trailers and seeing too much and like the funny parts and stuff like that? Do you think that's a pure result of it being delayed so far because of COVID?
probably,
And
honestly,
them having to start a whole new marketing campaign?
I think it has to
Yeah.
do with it for sure.
definitely. I guarantee you they wouldn't have showed him as much, and probably also to keep it relevant in people's minds, they're constantly showing things. So, I mean, I can't fault it for that, but like, if I would have had, honestly, I probably would have stopped watching trailers for it after the first one, for the sheer size of something like this. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I tend to watch all the trailers, but when it's something like this size, I'm like, okay, like I mean, there was like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 comic book like characters actively in the Suicide Squad. Like, that's a lot of freaking people. That's an Avengers.
And they
type
made
of
us think that like they were all gonna be throughout the whole movie.
yeah, and they
Which was
literally
a surprise that they weren't.
Yeah, Jake said you said you saw that coming. I did not expect that many
100%.
to get taken out that fast.
Well, I didn't see it happening
my
that
God.
quickly.
I think Keith and I are in the same mindset, and this happens a lot.
Yeah.
when you watch a trailer or two or so, and you put the pieces together, and you look at like
That's
the
fair.
setting of where characters are, and then you look at certain moments
Right.
where, example, like you see just like Polka Dot Man and King Shark and Ratcatcher and Harley and Bloodsport, and then you look and then you see like a group of them walking together that doesn't have a single one of them,
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, well, more than likely that group is probably going to die because there's less amount of bigger stars in that group, or they're brand new characters. And so that's where, and it didn't bother me. Like, it did not bother me at all, because even though I knew that those characters weren't going to last, I never saw it happening in the first 10 minutes the way it happened. Like, I just, you can never predict that. And
yeah, I agree.
James Gunn, like, and it's so right of James Gunn to start the film out by a camera shot of his old buddy Michael Rooker. Like, it's just like such a great toast to that dude and their history with each other. And then you follow Michael Rooker as he's kind of connecting with these characters, right? And we get to see Rick Flag, and then we see Weasel and like Blackguard, and we see Jai Courtney again as Boomer, and then you see this big old opening scene, and literally all of them but Harley and Flag die
Yeah.
in the most gruesome ways. Blackguard gets his face blown off. Boomer gets chopped up by wings of a helicopter. Rooker gets his head blown off because he runs away like a little baby.
Boomerang got
Like,
tree spikes into his chest
exactly.
and body
Like,
before he died.
The amount
I
of,
was like,
and that's
damn.
something that we can talk about is like the deaths of the movie, but it didn't bother me because I was so caught off guard by the way it was all happening and how quick it was happening. And then I also love the way it was told. Like that started, it ended with Flag and Harley being caught, and then it went backwards to the second team and realizing there's two teams involved, and the second team is the one we're going to be following throughout the entire movie and not the first. I'm like, okay.
Before
here
I
we go.
forget, I love that there's no setup and there's no ending.
Yeah, it literally jumps right into it. Like,
and it ends right after the action's over. They spend like 5 minutes real quick just to wrap up the scene, and the movie's over. I love that.
And because you don't need an explanation, right? There's like a quick like monologue as Waller's walking blood sport through everything of like what it is, what you're gonna do, etc. That is all we need. That's all we need. Boom, get right into it.
Pause for Keith. Keith, go ahead.
Well, before I start, I just want to say, give a rest in peace. Got my Florida State shirt on here. Big piece of coach, fourth all-time coach of football. Big reason why I'm a Florida State fan since I was a little kid. Aside from being from Florida and family there, but rest in peace, Coach Bowden. Okay, Jake, we talked about this the other day when we were hanging out. I think I'm more on your side now. I already love this movie. If anybody, I posted it on Facebook and we kind of sort of talked about it. So Jacob, the night before, I told him I loved it. This is probably the best of all the DC movies that have come out in the last since 13 when Man of Steel came out. It's probably the best one. This is probably the best. I've watched it twice.
Wait, that wasn't a definitive. Is it better than Man of Steel?
I said this is the best of the DC movies.
Well, you did say since 2013, and then I was confused.
I said since the new thing of DC movies that have come out since 2013, this is the best one. So yes, meaning this is my favorite.
Okay. I think you're crazy, but okay.
Man, so it's great. It's a different type of movie, so there's really not any comparing them.
No,
but I have more fun with this one. I'm having more fun with this movie, so I'll probably fair. And I've watched Man of Steel a million times.
How don't you bring that up?
I'll probably wind up watching this more.
You know me too well, Rachel.
So yeah, this movie's so much fun, man. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I had such a great time. I went and saw it. Me and Gio saw it at an early screening last Tuesday. It was his second time seeing it, and I didn't get to talk to him. I wasn't able to join him on Sunday on Fandom United to talk about it. So I'm glad to be here. But start to finish, this movie's so much fun. Remember that one poster that came out that had all the characters on it? Like there was like 30 people. And I'm like, I mean, we must have talked about it. Surely there's no way they're all surviving. I knew right away, like, okay, it was only going to be about 4 of these people that actually make it through. So we just didn't know who. And for the most part, we kind of knew it would probably Harley Quinn, probably Idris Elba. But from there on, who knows? So I know a lot of people, and I just remember a lot of people were saying, well, Pete Davidson's going to die immediately. I don't know why. I know a lot of people thought he was going to get it right away. And, of course, he is the very first person to go, which is pretty funny. And I like Pete Davidson. He's face. Right. It's crazy. So right away. And it's just, this is a classic. This is a straight, like, super, super James Gunn movie. This is like the Trauma stuff he was doing before, or like that before Guardians of the Galaxy. Or what's the one with Rainn Wilson where he's feeling all? He's like a super. It's called Super. Yeah, It's very just it's hardcore.
Doesn't this feel like it should have been James Gunn's first major comic book movie? Like this feels more like a James Gunn movie because he had no.
Honestly, I will say this. I will, and I think Keith might. I don't know if he'll say the same thing, but I think he's probably in the same road. I think it was probably best that he got the experience with a big company like Marvel, while somewhat being handcuffed, right? Not fully, but he had to be in line with the universe, right? He had to understand the ropes. He had to get to know what it was like to work on a gigantic budget film.
And working with special effects, all that stuff.
Exactly. And then you go to something where you are literally given all freedom to do whatever you want.
No, you're right. I think
it was best it happened that route rather than just going straight to the Suicide Squad and being like, I can do whatever I want. Let's do it. I guarantee it would have been the same movie.
No, you're right. And I think that Guardians experience contributed to how great this movie is. And that's a fair point.
Remember what he did with Guardians 2, right? Like it's still a great movie, but it wasn't as loved as the first one because he tried to do some different things with it,
Mhm.
and he learned from those mistakes and did something different with the Suicide Squad. So it's 100% the best road for him to.
Well, not to mention, there's no way in hell that Warner Brothers lets him do whatever he wants if it wasn't for being that good.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely true. But and he knows how to tell a story, but the Guardians, and I said this in our Gio and I did a non-spoiler review. If anybody hadn't seen that, but I said like the Guardians of the Galaxy, like Jake, you used the word, you said handcuffed, and I know you don't mean it as a negative, but I wouldn't say, I know what you mean, but I think just because the Guardians are such a different property in a different universe where there's a certain more earnestness that those characters have to be presented.
Well, Guardians doesn't call for gore and stuff like this does.
That's what I just said. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yes, there's a certain.
No, I'm agreeing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, because those guys are all heroes, whereas, it's the Suicide Squad. This is different. Like, you got to present them in a different kind of way, and it's going to be rated R. And like, this is James Gunn. Like, as Gio said, James Gunn unleashed. And so, and it's just what a stroke of luck. Like I said on that review, also, it's a crazy stroke of luck that obviously was what happened to him with Guardians 3, which, like I said, then we don't need to get into, but they immediately scooped him up, when he got fired from that. And then, which I personally think it was always in the cards for him that Marvel was always going to bring him back. But we get the Suicide Squad and we're getting Guardians 3 anyway. So it's perfect. I was thinking about that the whole time. I can't wait to
and the Christmas
win for all of us. And the Christmas, exactly, and the Christmas special, which I can't wait for. So, like I said there, I can't wait to see Guardians 3, obviously, but I super hope he comes back to do another one of these or whatever else in the DC universe, because this movie's awesome.
Well, the Peacemaker show, you already got that.
Yeah, that's right, and he's directing a bunch of those episodes. Apparently, it's already shot and ready to go. Yeah, so.
I have a movie I want him to do so bad, but we'll talk about it after we review the movie.
Okay.
There's still so much we haven't talked about too.
That's why I want to get back to.
Well, we haven't talked about Ratcatcher.
We
haven't talked about Ratcatcher. We haven't talked about Rick Flag. We haven't talked about Polka Dot Man. I mean, there's so much that we do need to break down right.
Well, let me. So I came in, and Jacob, I think you were just talking about Harley Quinn when I came in.
I was, and by the way, Keith, I was explaining also how I basically went from liking the movie to loving it after my second viewing.
Yeah, which you and I talked about that last night, but obviously off air. But so it's okay, exactly. That's good to hear. I said this is the best Harley Quinn that we've seen, in my opinion, of the 3 movies that she's been in. 3?
The most comic actress,
3 movies,
in my opinion.
Yeah. That's mostly the animated series that's out right now. Certainly a lot like that.
Yep.
I think I haven't watched all of it. But this is the best. That performance when she shoots the guy, Luna, whatever his name is,
Luna.
The guy's going to be president. Like he's talking about his. I think it's Luna. Yeah. He's talking about his plan, and when she shoots him and explains why, that performance is incredible. It's so good. Where she's like, I've seen guys like you before. I've had boyfriends, and I told myself that if I ever ran into another guy like this, I'm gonna do the honorable thing and murder him. And then but she has tears in her eyes, and she's explaining why she's doing it. And that performance is amazing. Like that's really, you tell. Like she talks about, like, I dealt with guys like you before. I know where this goes. I know what you're gonna be. And I'm not. No. We don't need that. The world doesn't need that. I don't need that. Like I love how she delivered those lines of that performance. I thought it was really great. So I think, and her rescue scene, which I saw we were talking about in the chat a little bit too. That was awesome. I love how Rick Flag. Like I love how they're getting along. Like it's not like they're not butting heads. Like their first thing is like as soon as they find out that she's alive, they're like, okay, well we got to go get her. And I just thought it was all great. I thought the team.
And when they hug, when they first see each other, like it's like a genuine friendship.
Shit, it is. It's really great. Like
that line, man.
That was very
funny. I could not believe she said that when she said that. I could not believe it.
It was perfect.
Well, while
Yeah.
Keith mentioned him, let's talk about Rick Flag, because anyway, we have a lot to get to. Let's talk about him. I said earlier that there's a few things I
So
didn't
much
like
better.
about this movie. Killing Rick Flag was a mistake, in my opinion.
Ding.
I think it was a mistake on the movie's part, and I think that the portrayal of the character was 1,000 times better. I think Joel Kinnaman was having a lot more fun with the character, but I do think that killing him was a mistake, and it's one of the things that I regret that they did, just because I feel like it might not transfer over well to whatever comes next, if there is anything that happens with the Suicide Squad next. There very well could not be, so I don't know.
No, I'm with you, man. I told Gio and Keith, I was like, if they kill Captain Boomerang in this movie, and they had seen it, but I was like, I looked away from their faces. I was like, if they kill Captain Boomerang in this movie, I'm gonna be pissed. It's gonna ruin the movie for me. And like, it didn't, but I was really upset that Captain Boomerang died. But he's a side character, right? Rick Flag is literally the leader of the Suicide Squad, and I'm a huge fan of Joel Kinnaman. Like, I've been watching him since The Killing, amazing show. He's great in it. And when he got this role, I was like, hell yeah, he's gonna kill this. He was okay in Suicide Squad, but he's amazing in this. He really is, and he seems genuine. And I don't know, I just like the way he presents himself in this movie. And look, they even made sure, like, don't think he's gonna make a comeback. We're gonna show you the thing pierce his heart. Like, they're making sure that he's dead. And I'm like, look, it was a good death. It was a good death scene. Like, he was fighting for something important. But like, I told this to Gio on our way home from the theater. I was like, look, it's cool to like get the license to kill any character you want. Like, that's exciting because that means anything can happen in a movie. But when you're handling a cinematic universe, right, you kind of have to recognize what you have and like realize, okay, either we kill this character, and then if we want to bring them back via multiverse or whatever, it kind of takes away from their death. So you can kill a character and bring them back. It's a comic book world, right? But if you're going to kill these characters like Boomerang and like Flag, in my opinion, it's like, okay, you really got to make sure once you kill that character, are you sure you want to kill this character? And you know, the WB execs, they approved it. James Gunn wrote it or included it in his movie, and they did it. But I would rather have Rick Flag survive than Boomerang, obviously. But those are two of my, and they're not even negatives. They're just like regrets in a way.
Well, you gotta. I hear you. The way I took that, like, sorry. I was gonna say, the actor though probably doesn't want to. He's got other stuff he probably wants to do. That's what I assume. Like, if a character dies like that in a movie, like, they're probably moving on to other stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's probably
give me that couple $1 million to show up and have fun on set in a superhero movie. Come on.
If he's okay, but a lot of people listen. Chris Evans got tired of being Captain America. You know, like, he's just like, I want to do other stuff. Like, Joel Kinnaman is a guy. He's a working actor. He's done a bunch of shows. He's probably got other shows, stuff lined up to do.
But those two actors, like, Jai Courtney and Joel Kinnaman, are not working like that much.
Joel Kinnaman, he's been on like 3 shows.
Okay, to be fair, if I don't know,
just real quick before we move on, I do want to say that he actually did an interview. He was filming the third season of For All Mankind the same exact time he was filming Suicide Squad. He was going back and forth.
Okay, so he's done a lot of TV. I didn't know he was doing a lot of TV.
It might have. Keith might be right where he might have made the decision, but at the same time, I'm more of the belief that James Gunn said, "Oh, I'm going to kill him."
Yeah, I think so.
Because of the way he killed him, being that it was Peacemaker, the mother effer that killed him.
That's what I was about to say, is that they made Peacemaker the one to do it after making you enjoy Peacemaker, and now I mean, you might I think you might get like Peacemaker story, like him dealing with the fact that he murdered that character and maybe like the fear of that getting out. Something I don't know.
I disagree.
I don't know.
I think he felt like no, I know what you mean. What I'm saying, I think that he felt like he was doing the right thing for the right reason. Like
I'm sure he did.
The whole thing is,
I mean,
protecting
the dude
America's
said
interests.
he would eat a bag of you know what's on a beach for peace.
Well, look, when he's about to kill Ratcatcher, and she says, "Why are you doing this? I can tell you don't want to," and he says, "Because I'm thorough." And
it's
then I'm like
he felt as
I believe him, but still F him.
Yeah, that part, I think that might have honestly.
Oh, by the way, I'll say
that's exactly right.
Best forget it. Best John Cena performance ever. Yeah, hands down. I mean, that's not saying much. It's not saying much, but
I think he's a funny. I think he's a funny performer. I think he's trying to do.
I think it's his best dramatic work
or whatever.
I think it's his best dramatic work too. When
I agree.
When him and Rick Flag are about to fight, and they're talking about the like philosophical reasons behind what he's doing.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah. It's incredible. Listen, compare that with Dave Bautista. Same thing. You know, he's gotten great performances out of him. Comedic and dramatic, honestly, and as silly as Drax is, but Drax had some great, serious moments, and Batista's good. So,
yeah, I mean, him, whenever when he just came out of the forest in his underwear, and like it was just like, what are you doing? I was sleeping. Duh. Like it's like, what the hell? But like, yeah, Rick Flag dying was probably my most upsetting death. I think that one bummed me out because I enjoyed him. Like, kill him in the next one if you have to, so that way I can get this character, the good version, one more time. You gave me a crappy and you gave me a good one. Like, let me enjoy the good one more than once. And that was my biggest bummer. But I mean, like I said, there's a bajillion characters. I did, for someone I had no idea about and never had heard of, actor or character, I fell in love with Ratcatcher 2. Absolutely. I loved her. The character,
Daniela something.
Jake, do you know how to what is this?
Danielle Mincourt. I want to say it's you say it in a different style from where she's from, but it's like Daniela Mincourt.
She was Portuguese, so good.
Yeah, well, her character is her character.
No, I think she actually is.
And that would make sense for James Gunn to do that, play to her heritage.
Yeah,
and the fact that Taika is the Ratcatcher 1.
Yeah, that was great, right? I didn't even catch that until I was sitting next to Gio and he said Taika Waititi, and I looked. That's Taika Waititi. I didn't even notice.
I remember on the early days we thought that Taika was going to voice King Shark, but it was
King Shark. Yeah.
Once I heard it, once you guys told me Stallone was doing it, I was like, okay, so he's Starro, and I kept waiting for Starro to talk. And I was like,
dude, but Stallone as King Shark's voice.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It might be better than Vin Diesel's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Just because he can actually say other words other than I am Groot.
No, Starro never talked. He just
no. They're talking about King Shark.
Oh, so Starro does talk through the people.
Through the people, yeah.
No, in the movie, yeah. I was thinking about in the comics. I wonder.
Oh, I don't know.
It's his little minions are the ones that talk for.
They always do that. Okay, that's okay. I was wondering.
That I know, but
you guys realize they even gave Starro character like development?
Yes.
We saw his origin story.
Absolutely.
I was like, what? Like, and then when he says,
and you feel bad
I was happy floating.
No, he said I was peaceful floating around in space.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god,
or floating in the stars.
He gave the villain, which is a huge starfish, like depth. Wow.
I know. I felt bad for him when he was dying. Like I was like, He
didn't want to
in the eye too.
Yeah, he didn't want to be used for that.
He didn't have a
Like,
choice. He didn't have a choice.
Right.
Hey, and he said the thinker has had his way with me. I was like,
That's what I mean.
wow.
He did not. Starro didn't have a choice. He was
Also, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
the government is what snatched him, and then the
Okay,
thing
but
tested on him. But so like
yeah,
to me, it was like once he escaped,
he's basically defending himself because they captured him, right? Like they, so I guess you're kind of right.
Well,
but
I took it as when by the time he's escaping, he's pissed off and is just like,
well, he's been there for 30 years.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, he wasn't who he was at the end of the movie when he first got captured. Over time, being held captive, that creates that type of creature. I will also say, both the best and the worst project name of all time, Project Starfish. Like,
the fact that the fact
Project
that
Stardust.
yeah.
That's what I thought of.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, Project Stardust.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's a play on that.
Well, and then not to mention the John Cena butthole part, and then he later
Literally,
Oh my
buttholes.
God.
It's coming out of the starfish's side butthole.
shoot
Yes.
whatever you want to call
Yes.
it. I was like, you sneaky SOBs. But I liked Starro. He was honestly like for what it was.
terrifying.
He looked incredible.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Jake-
the effect
Jake-
is amazing.
Is 100% right. He looked amazing. Like,
Right.
I never would have thought like Starro's a dope character. Like, I would have been like, you're gonna have Starro as
Starro.
like,
And it's so fitting
'Cause
for James Gunn to
It's
one
so silly. It's such a
make
silly.
make Starro your villain, right? It's a James Gunn
Yeah.
move, but then also to be like, okay, you think it's gonna be a joke? I'm gonna make him look like the biggest and baddest looking kaiju on the planet, and that's exactly what he did.
he was dope. I don't know. I enjoyed Starro. And like you guys said, like the fact that they didn't just make him this mindless bad guy, like they actually kind of gave him substance. He just wasn't this giant pissed off kaiju as they called it.
Big old yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
So
Agree.
I want to get back to Ratcatcher, and I also want to
So
make
do
sure
I.
we touch on Polka Dot Man. But Brian, you were talking about Ratcatcher. Start us off, and then we'll kind of get into that as well.
Yeah. No, for a character and an actress I knew nothing about, I thought like, okay, whatever. That's probably just going to be
breakout performance.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be a side character. I was actively like invested
Same.
into her character
From the moment I saw her.
like her story and how she like just everything about her. She nailed that.
That's so great.
I mean, it's true. They were, but
people. Yeah. People are saying.
But I'll let you guys talk because I just spent a while talking about it. But I just adored Ratcatcher 2 and Sebastian.
Yeah, well, it's funny.
Yeah,
a lot of people, and I even saw Chuck say in the chat that a lot of people are walking on the movie being like, I can't believe James Gunn just made my favorite character a rat that can't talk.
A rat.
I'm shocked.
Sebastian.
Shocked that they did not kill the Sebastian. I
No,
thought
No, they weren't going to do that.
No.
First of all,
I'm not-
Sebastian,
no.
how did
They
no,
weren't going
but
to do
I'm
that.
shocked how Sebastian survived all that stuff is what I'm shocked
Yeah,
about.
no, for sure.
No,
for sure.
see,
But-
now I was shocked because I thought that was going to be the heartbreaking. Like you don't really care kind of too
Yeah,
much about the other
yeah,
characters,
right.
but like the rat that is just waving at people, that's the one
Yeah.
that's going to break your heart.
Yeah,
that's what
that's
I was
true.
waiting for.
For sure.
Because it could have been
Yeah.
similar.
But no.
It could have been similar to Groot in Guardian, where Groot
Yes.
saved everyone.
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
true.
yeah. Because people were like really
Or
teared up in the
no,
theater.
even a better call, Antony from Ant-Man.
Yes, that's exactly who I was
yep.
thinking of.
Yeah.
When stupid Antony dies,
Yeah.
I was waiting.
It would have been an Antony move. It 100%
I was
would have been an Antony.
waiting for that. And so when he survived, I was like, damn, that was not a character I was fully expecting.
But
to
it
get
led
out.
to the Idris Alba petting the rat and the
So
scene.
yes,
so,
but
which was
also
great.
okay. Real quick, don't look in the chat. I don't want you guys looking in the chat. Real quick, do you guys know
No,
the
no.
real name of Sebastian?
No.
The
I
So
thought, I thought it was
the rat's actual name is Crisp Rat.
Crisp Rat. Yeah. I saw that. I saw that on Twitter. Yeah.
It's Crisp
Rat.
Rat.
Yeah.
That's the rat's actual
Yeah.
name.
Jacob,
Like
do you not
the-
get it? Chris Pratt.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Anyway,
I
back
saw
to
that on Twitter.
Ratcatcher 2. Yeah, I think her development over the film was definitely like probably her and Bloodsport were probably the strongest.
Absolutely.
With her maybe even taking the cake out of all of it. Obviously she had the heroic moment, like the most memorable moment at the end of the film, right? This moment right here, where she calls all the rats and the rats take down Starro, and that's how they defeat him. And it's funny because in the trailers you don't recognize it, but she's holding on to Bloodsport right there on the bottom right hand corner.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
And we see that whole sequence play out in the film, and there's a backstory given to Bloodsport about how he was locked in a box for 24 hours with rats, and they were not nice to him from his father, and he has this fear of them, and it transfers over time to like him at the end of the film petting Sebastian, and it's a really cool thing development for these characters. I think Ratcatcher 2 was a brilliantly created. Again, what James Gunn does is he takes these very strange, wacky, unknown characters and makes us fall in love with them. He's done it for years, and he's done it with not just superhero characters, but characters in his films in general. And he succeeds again with someone like Ratcatcher, taking a character that is like a D-level character in like the comic books, like low of low.
Oh, I would go lower than
absolutely just making us fall in love with this character and hoping to God that we see her again. And just what she was, I enjoyed the hell out of her. I thought she fit perfectly. I thought she was really like the heart and soul of this group the entire time. Because we had Peacemaker, who we found out was just like this just super evil dude. Bloodsport was dealing with stuff on his own. Harley Quinn is Harley Quinn. King Shark just wants to eat people, and Polka Dot Man was dealing stuff on his own. He had mommy issues, and so Ratcatcher was just the heart and soul of it all, and really centered them, and ultimately was the reason they won.
I mean, she normalized King Shark.
Yeah, I love how she's always sleepy.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I love how she's always sleepy. That cracked me up so bad.
And King Shark is like, she asks, "Do you have any friends?" He's like, "No friends." He's like, "Well, if you did, would you eat them?"
And he goes, "No,
am I your friend?" Yeah. I love that.
So
listen,
good.
Speaking of minor characters, and we'll get back to the main ones in a second, but I noted this in my head. I wanted to point this out. Milton.
Yeah.
Yes. R.I.P.
Milton was
justice for Milton.
Great. Oh my
justice
God.
for Milton.
Oh my God.
He really was with them the whole time.
Yes.
when they were running up the stairs, to do the mission, right? And he's behind them. I was like, what is he doing there?
What are you doing? Like, go away.
Too. I was like, he's gonna die.
I was watching it the second time, and he actually, they didn't show like where he picked them up, but he was driving them from the jungle to the club.
Once
he was there the whole time.
Left them.
He never left.
Yeah.
I was watching it, and I was like,
hilarious.
Obviously, the scene right where Harley's like, "Who's Milton?" And then an hour later, she goes, "We just talked about it 2 hours ago. Your name is Milton."
Yeah,
so Bloodsport
that's so funny because they know.
It's great,
and it's so brilliant because they know the audience is thinking, "Wait, Milton was he? He was there the whole time." Like, that's right. That guy.
It's funny because I kept watching. Like, why is this guy with them still? Like, why is
he's like running behind them? It's so funny.
That's so funny. It is. It's hilarious.
And he's like sneaking behind them. Like he's like, what was he gonna do?
Exactly.
And also that leads me to Polka Dot Man because, like, look, some of these characters are villains. Some of these characters are actually bad guys, right? But like Ratcatcher, she's not a bad guy. She's not a bad person. She was robbing a bank with rats. Yes, that's illegal. But
there's no reason for her to be in Task Force X.
She was trying to survive, right? I think they didn't tell us how Polka Dot Man was caught or why. But I don't think Polka Dot Man was a villain either. I just think
probably not.
Like he naturally I think
he was
just randomly accidentally kill somebody, right? But he he was the one who was upset that Milton was dead. Like he was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like
this
he
guy.
was like he was telling Harley, he was like, "Are you serious right now?" He's like, "He was a really nice guy and he was helping us this whole time." He's like, and she's like, "Oh, Milton."
Great,
but, dude,
David Desmalchian. Is that
Yes.
Desmalchian?
Yep.
Is that right? Did I say it
And
right?
Yes.
look,
Yep.
He's so good.
if we're nominating a third disappointing death, it's got to be him because as much as we
100%.
want to see Ratcatcher again, I want to see Polka Dot Man just as much.
100%.
And I will say that his polka dots, whatever it is, the interdimensional virus or whatever, is super powerful. Like I literally think they would harm Superman. Like maybe not,
probably.
but look,
Probably.
remember when he hit Starro and even though it was funny because they showed it as his mom, but it really hurt Starro.
It took off a big chunk of his.
All the little like human minions were like going like screaming because their leg hurt. So like like just as much as Ratcatcher, I can't believe that James Gunn made us care about Polka
Dot Man.
It boggles my
know,
mind.
right?
You got to give
He
credit.
almost made it to the end.
Real quick. I want to show this because I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but this is this is from the movie. Look who's all the way on the right side. Hold on, let me pull it up. Milton.
It is Milton.
Yep.
So good.
That's so funny.
So
So
good.
funny. Like nobody said, "What are you doing here?" Like
Yeah.
Right.
I will
Or
say,
wait in the car or whatever.
I will not pronounce his last name for butchering it, but
David Dalsmalchian.
Thank you. He is one of those actors that he's never probably going to be the top build, but that the second you see him, you're like, oh shit, like he's going to be someone good. Like he doesn't do bad. It's always great.
He's funny. He's so funny in Ant-Man, where he's like Baba Yaga, the Boogie Monster, whatever he calls him. Like,
or
he's
in
really
Dark
funny.
Knight.
And
Like,
in the Dark Knight, yeah, right.
He's in so.
He's also a villain in the Flash, the show.
Yeah, he's that guy
really?
that you always see, and you're like, oh, it's that guy.
Right.
And
he's gonna be one of those.
wait,
bad
who
guys.
was he in Dark Knight?
he was.
Plays go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say he was the guy that Harvey Dent and Commissioner Gordon they grabbed, or Batman as well. They were gonna interrogate him.
So he was
one of
the
fake
one that
cops
was wearing
that worked for the
Rachel's
Joker.
tag.
Ah,
At
okay.
Harvey Dent's funeral, or not
Okay,
funeral,
okay.
At Commissioner Gordon's funeral.
Okay.
When they faked Gordon's death, and
Yeah.
and Joker was about to shoot Harvey Dent, and they caught him
Oh, it was the
instead.
mayor.
The mayor.
Somebody.
Yeah, thank you, the mayor.
No,
That's
now
what it was.
I remember.
And the Joker shot Gordon. That's what it was.
The Joker shot Gordon there.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But there's Dom. Dom was with us too.
Yep. And Dom speaking my language. He's in all these Denis films too.
Yeah, he
is in Blade Runner. That's right.
They must be good friends or something.
He is
I
one of those
forgot about
people
that.
that's in like every movie,
maybe.
and you never notice it until you see like something like this, and then you go back and see him in all of these movies you've seen before.
Yeah.
But he's fantastic. It's like Jacob said, we cared about a guy that shoots polka dots out of his suit.
I was hoping one of his polka dots, they were cool. It was fine, but I really was wondering if he had like the polka dots that are like portals. That's what I was thinking it was going to be.
So that was his portals, his polka dots seem to just be like destroy type things, because in the comic it's more like Inspector Gadget. Like each one he throws, he does
They
like
do different
weird
things.
I like
exactly.
this more.
Exactly.
I like this.
I
more.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree with Jake. This one was probably
me
used
too,
better
yeah.
because it would have taken away constantly seeing like something new or him having to do whatever. It was unnecessary.
Jacob, you made you hit on something that I heard this on another show too. Can't remember what, where they were like comparing it to the last movie, which we don't need the 2016 version, but like you remember in that one, Amanda Waller's like, we need to put this team together just in case Superman, we need somebody to take down Superman. Which and none of them could. These guys, there's a couple of these people on this team that could probably hurt Superman. I mean, Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and like you said,
I think if you gave Deadshot a kryptonite bullet, he could do some damage too. But I see what you're saying though. Like I was saying, Polka Dot Man. I don't know, like if Polka Dot Man's like if he could damage Superman, but like if anything could, I could see an interdimensional virus. I could see him being able to, but why he wouldn't purposely go after Superman unless somebody was making him or something.
No. Or unless Superman was turned evil, which, who knows?
Ooh.
They were going to do that.
See, that's why you keep Polka Dot Man alive. You do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quickly, let's our fifth member, Gio. Hi, Gio. Our DC guy.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
Loves the Suicide Squad, but it doesn't come close to Zack Snyder's Justice League. 2 DC hits in 1 year. I'll give you that. Also, shouldn't have bet against the A's.
I told you.
Deadshot.
He's in Reno right now, so he put bets down. He bet against the A's and the Indians, and I told him not to, and the A's won. So,
there you go. Deadshot or Bloodsport in Rick Flagg's role.
real quick.
100%.
I said this. I said this when we got out of the theater. If they do another Suicide Squad.
You're the first one I heard say this.
They need to combine all of the alive characters from both movies into one team.
Yep.
So
that's what they need to do. They need to bring Will Smith back. They need to bring Idris Elba back. Harley Quinn, Katana.
Hey, wait, did Killer Croc survive?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, I want to see Killer Croc and King Shark interact.
Watching
I want to, and I also, obviously, there's also the chance that Diablo could have be alive somehow. Bring him back.
I think Diablo's death could easily be explained how he survived.
Yeah,
because he's Jay Hernandez, amazing actor. But I agree with you. Can you imagine? I was telling this to Keith last night. If they make a Suicide Squad 3 or whatever they're going to call it with Deadshot and Bloodsport,
plus Harley Quinn. Quinn.
Can you imagine? First of all, just like how awesome of the movie it's going to be, and it better be James Gunn directing. But also just like how big of a draw that is. Just come on, WB.
Wait, Chuck, you didn't like Deadshot?
No. Okay.
Well,
so
no,
look,
he was the best part of Suicide Squad.
Jacob and I talked about this last night off air, but I had heard that Idris Elba was going to be Deadshot. Initially, they're going to replace him, but they changed him. They kept the similar backstories. They changed him to what's his name again? I forgot it again. Bloodsport. Changed to Bloodsport in case Will Smith wants to come back to be Deadshot again.
That's smart.
Let's do it. Well,
Smart
we know why Will Smith didn't come back. He was doing something else.
Yeah, he was doing Gemini Man. He was doing Gemini Man.
Yeah, he was filming Gemini Man while this was filming. That's why
that turned out.
He did the Aim Lee
and the other movie was
instead of the Suicide Squad with James Gunn.
You think after seeing this, he'd want to do the
absolutely?
Absolutely.
They better be on the phone with him. Could you imagine a Suicide Squad 3 with Deadshot, Will Smith, Bloodsport, Idris Elba, Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, Ratcatcher, Katana, Diablo, King Shark,
100%.
Killer Croc, and then you wrinkle in someone new like
King Shark.
Oh my god! Oh my
god!
God.
Of course, King Shark.
Gio and I talked about this. I'm like, dude, the DCEU, like they had Will Smith, they had him.
Yeah,
they had Will Smith.
They still can. I'm telling you that movie, if it comes out like there's no pandemic or anything, that movie has $1 billion potential. Like
that movie would be an absolute hit, and you would have to make the villain a very well-known villain, or it might not even be
or just a good villain.
Oh, listen, James Gunn could do anything. They could just find some goofy the Clock King or some goofy villain and make him
Kite Man,
make him faster.
Kite Man.
The villain as the main villain.
Hey, I'm gonna say this because we do have to wrap here soon. I want to say this. We talked about this after the movie, and Keith, you weren't there with us, but we talked about how in the movie, Polka Dot Man mentioned how many brothers and sisters he had, and that some of them were alive and made it, and some of them didn't.
Oh, I forgot about that.
What if you make
and they were all tested on?
What if you make someone like Condiment King, Polka Dot Man's brother, and that's
Seriously?
part of the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Let's go. Make Condiment King Polka Dot Man's brother. Do it. And here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Get David Dastmalchian to be his twin brother and let him play him.
Hey, why not? He never said it wasn't a twin sibling.
Let's do it.
Sure.
Come on.
You gotta make him like different personality-wise, though.
There's so
Yeah.
many excuse my
Could
French.
you imagine Condiment King sitting on a Suicide Squad poster with mustard and ketchup?
It's like
Right.
Oh,
Is
you're
there
right.
anything major that we haven't talked about yet that you guys can think
let me
of?
roll through I mean, we talked about Peacemaker a little
Like
bit.
everything's so
but-
great, I don't want to skip over anything.
I mean, we
loved
pretty much
my
covered
favorite-
everything.
My favorite thing is that club scene when they first arrive at the club and they're sitting down. I just love those moments.
Yeah.
Quiet, where they're sitting
Well,
down.
the dancing
camaraderie.
too was pretty
They're having
funny.
drinks.
John Cena.
dancing was
John
very
Cena's a terrible
funny.
dancer. He's a terrible dancer. Just a
Shout out to, we talked about it when we were hanging out. Palm Clementine at
Clementine.
the dancing
Oh,
club. She's
yeah.
the lead dancer there at the club with she's had a red hair, and that was pretty cool. But I love that scene. I love how they're all drinking and having a good time. Obviously, before everything gets
Buck
terrible.
is getting what I'm putting down. Buck is getting what I'm putting down.
No, honestly, this franchise, whatever you want to call it, the stupider they go with like characters, the better they tend to be, because you can literally just do whatever the hell you want with it.
Right.
Real quick before we wrap,
Right.
we can make quick comments on this. This character.
Yeah.
Oh my god! You were talking about
Well, because he
I know.
shouts us
Shotgun.
out.
Weasel's
no
alive.
Yeah.
Weasel's alive.
The 5 minutes total that he was in it, he was cracking me up.
He just moves so
here's the-
awkwardly.
Right.
Yes, and that's why.
And it's so weird because I felt bad for him when he's drowning,
I
right?
know.
But then you remember,
He
Rick
killed
Flag
a bunch
was
of
like,
children.
he killed a bunch of kids, right? So I'm like, well, he did kill a bunch of kids. So he's a bad person.
I
So
love I love their reaction. Rick Flag's like, you didn't find out if he could swim?
Yeah. And
Well,
Amanda
also,
Waller,
when he
she's
says-
literally,
When he says, "I think he agreed to this," like he's like,
That's
"We think he
exactly
agreed
right.
to-
They
we
don't even
think
know,
he
like,
agreed
if
to
he
do
even.
this."
They don't
Like,
even know
how
if he
did they communicate
understands
with
what
him?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that leads me to, you know what? I love Amanda Waller's team at the control there.
Yeah.
I thought they
Oh,
were
they
all
were
really
cool,
great.
yeah.
And
I
love how-
the young. Go ahead, Keith. Sorry.
oh, sorry. I was gonna say I love how, like, because Amanda Waller is so terrible. Oh, did we talk about Amanda Waller? Like, obviously, another great performance by Viola Davis again.
Yeah.
She's really captured that character, like, because Amanda Waller is so terrible.
Yes,
Like,
that death
she just
stare
happens
she
to
gives.
be. She's a villain.
He's
That's on the
too
good side.
good at that role. She's too good at
Right,
that
I know,
role.
right? I know.
Maybe,
But I love
there's
how
a
the
way to
other
make her
team-
the villain of the next movie.
Well,
Yeah,
she's
she
almost
could.
because she
She
almost
basically
always
is a
right?
villain, but
Right. I was gonna say she's a villain, just happens to be on the good side. But yeah, I love how the team was really the whole time. They're looking at her like, "Are you serious? Like, you really want to?" Like, I love how like they set it up to where what happened at the end, where they had to knock her out before she killed any more of the team. I really like that. So yeah, I liked the team they had.
Just
That
a
was really
quick
good.
note: the younger girl on the team, the younger woman, was actually James Gunn's girlfriend, Jennifer Holland.
Oh, cool.
no.
So he's been placing her in some of his movies too, and this is probably one of her bigger roles yet. And she killed it. So
yeah.
He
There's
used
so
to be
much-
married to Pam from The Office.
I think so.
They were married.
I think
Yeah.
so.
There's so much
Jenna
that they could do
Fisher.
going forward. Like, there's so many just pointless DC characters. I literally went through the IMDb. Kaleidoscope, Double Down. Like, there's just so many random things. Although now I really want Condiment King. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So kinda,
I mean, there's a time and a place where we'll be able to talk about all this.
Yes, it is. But I guess that is gonna wrap up our talk of the Suicide Squad spoiler edition. Before we go, Mr. Berlin has something to say.
Yeah, so obviously we're on the topic of the Suicide Squad, and for those of you who don't know, well, none of you will know because we didn't post a picture. The 5 of us got together for the first time outside of an actual movie theater since COVID started. This last Saturday, the 5 of us we hung out for about 4 or 5 hours together. Kind of a nice little hangout, got some lunch, and then had a little bit of team meeting as well. And we decided on one thing. We're adjusting something on the channel, and we are now going to be shifting our watch-alongs from our main show on Tuesday, and they will now take place on a Saturday evening at 5 o'clock Pacific. Not just that, but they're going to be in person. The 5 of us are going to get together in person. We're all going to be in one room watching a movie, one single camera, and we're going to be hanging out on a Saturday night watching a movie. And you may be wondering why we're announcing this now. Well, that's because our first movie is going to be none other than The Suicide Squad. So on August 21st, Saturday, August 21st at 5 o'clock Pacific, you'll be able to join us as we watch The Suicide Squad, which is now just 2 weeks away. We'll be hanging out, all 5 of us, with all of you in the chat and checking this movie out one more time. A couple of us have seen it a second time. A couple of us are saving it for this viewing, but we'll be able to talk a lot more about this movie then, possibilities for the future, the characters, the things we didn't mention, and Gio will be with us to discuss all of that as well. It's going to be a damn good time. So,
yes.
Yeah, and we'll all be in the chat as well, like just talking and on the mic and also in the chat, so should be fun.
So, yes, make sure you join us for that. Some fun festivities, but that is going to do it for us and the Suicide Squad talk. Make sure you are here through all the festivities that we have this week. We have our Marvel Rewind coming back after like what, a 1 week hiatus, 2 couple weeks hiatus, and we are going to be talking a little what if, see how that turns out, and this Friday, finale of the Fandalorian Club, because we don't know when the heck the next time we're going to do it, and it is the final episode of The Bad Batch, so make sure you come around and watch us discuss that. But for Apocaflix Movies, I'm Brian, that is Keith, that is Jacob, that is Jake, and Gio, of course. Have a great evening. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.